Okay, awesome. So, hi everybody. This is Patty Universe, and I'm here with a really amazing special guest. I have Sandy here, who I met in our Facebook support group for Candida Cleanser. And Sandy joined the group a couple months ago, and I just remember you had been going through a lot of health problems before, and then you started the cleanse and you were doing the gut healing diet and you were having some phenomenal results. So I wanted to go ahead and invite you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and maybe how you discovered Candida Cleanser and what you were dealing with before you found this product.
Sure. Um, well, I think I didn't know what I had at first when I first discovered that I had candida. I had been sick for probably 5 or 6 years from what I think. And I had been on lots of rounds of antibiotics for certain things, teeth and tonsils, just certain things that I had been on for long periods of time. And so now that I know that it was candida, I look back and I can see that that's kind of when my symptoms started. And as the years progressed, it would get worse and worse and worse. By the end, by the time I found Candida Cleanser, I'm 38 and I felt like I was 90.
Mm.
Um, I had symptoms where I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. But I had massive gas and bloating. I know that's a lot of information, but it was horrendous. I had major stomach pains. The doctors tested me for all kinds of things, gastric emptying, if I upper GIs, colonoscopies, all those things. Then they would never find anything. So they kind of wrote me off. Some of my other symptoms that got to really bad were my joint pains. I felt like my joints were burning. I would get up off the couch and I felt like I was 90 years old.
Wow.
Um, I was unable to lose weight. I did everything. I exercised. I'd walk and run 10 miles a day and I wouldn't lose a pound. I had major sugar cravings. And I always had like this, it's kind of gross, but like a yeasty odor. I couldn't quite figure it out or what it was. Major constipation. The biggest thing for me as I get older that my PMS was severe. And I can't even describe that. It was horrific. So that's a lot of things. I also started noticing swelling in my hands and when I would eat. So every time I would eat, my hands would swell, my face would swell, my eyelids would get swollen. Um, and so I actually ended up, I would complain all the time, and you kind of get sick of people, just having to hear you complain, and you think you're a hypochondriac and all these things, and the doctors say there's nothing wrong. And so I was kind of at my wit's end. And my son, who's 14, he actually has some of the same symptoms that I do. And when I gave birth to him, I actually had a yeast infection. So he was looking some things up online, and he said, "Mom, I found this video. I think you need to watch it." And it was Candida Cleanser, and he said, "I think this is what's wrong with you." And so I watched it, and so then I ordered it, and I started September 23rd of this year.
Wow. And what did you notice when you started the cleanse? Did you notice pretty immediate? A lot of the things that you're describing actually remind me a bit of my own journey with the like the premenstrual symptoms.
Right.
Basically, it was almost, my colon hydrotherapist was like, you need to go see somebody. It's probably endometriosis. And I was just like, no, I won't buy it.
Right. It's true. And then they did the same thing to me. They say, "Oh, you have IBS, you have this." And I thought, you know what? I'm not just going to settle for that because I don't want to live on dicyclomine or all these other medicines that they were giving me for my stomach pain. I homeschool my kids and I just don't have time for that. And my biggest thing was fatigue. I was so tired I would wake up and I think, how am I going to get through this day? Because I was so fatigued. So I got the Candida Cleanser, and much of your support, you helped me so much. The first few days, I was thinking, I made a mistake. I thought, oh no, it made everything worse, but you encouraged me that it was going to get better. And
Yeah.
so I stuck with it. The first few days, I felt every symptom that I ever had just felt 10 times that. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go through it. And prior to I starting the cleanse, while I was waiting for it to arrive, I stopped all sugar. I had no carbs, so I was really trying to get prepared for the cleanse, which I think really helped me.
Yeah.
Because I had been through that really hard, like trying to get off of caffeine and all that stuff. So I think it really, really helped me when I got my pills when they came. So the first few days were terrible. The first day, I actually never even knew that I had allergy problems, which is so funny because I was sitting on the couch kind of feeling terrible, and I felt this pop in my nose, like in my sinuses, and it freaked me out. And my husband said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I don't know. I just felt this weird thing in my nose." And I am not kidding you. It's like that Claritin commercial where everything is just clear all of a sudden. It felt like everything was brighter and it was unreal. My ears weren't plugged anymore, which I didn't even know they were. So after that, the days progressed, and after the first 5 days, I started feeling really good. I started to not feel like I needed to take a nap anymore, which before that's the first thing I thought of when I woke up. Um, and my PMS symptoms that month were definitely less. They were much less. The bloating had gone down a lot, and I am trying to stick with the just kind of a diet that will heal my gut too, because I think I have a lot of issues with my gut from the damage from it. And so I just continued on that diet, and every day that went by, it just got better and better and better.
Wow, that's so amazing. And I had a similar thing, like after my very first pill of the Candida Cleanser, an hour after my first pill, the very first thing that I felt and heard was out of my right ear, which is where I had chronic sinus allergies all on my right side. My ear was chronically itching, and my ears were plugged. I remember, like, for the few years before I actually did the cleanse, I would be like, what? What? Like, always like asking people to repeat things because I could hear, but it was like everything was garbled. And then the first thing I felt was this whoosh out of my right ear an hour after the first pill. Yeah, and also similar to what you described, like there were moments where something would just pop, and then it would be like this amazing release. Like actually, one of the things for me was neck and body pain.
Oh,
My
yes,
neck
definitely.
used to go out, and I didn't have any clue that that could be related to Candida.
It's true. I actually wasn't sure if that was my problem because the doctors told me I had degenerative disc disease, and so I'm thinking, great, I have IBS, I've disc disease and everything else. I'm thinking I'm not even 40. And so
Mm.
since I've been on the Candida cleanser and have been through it, my back would go out probably once a month during around my period time. It would go out, or my neck would get stiff and I couldn't turn it. I mean, it was to the point I was just debilitated. I couldn't do anything. And since I've been on the cleanser, my back hasn't gone out one time, and I don't have that pain anymore.
Right. So in general, would you say right now, and it's been, so you said you started in September, so you finished it September, October,
Towards the end of
probably end of October. So would you say right now you're pretty much pain-free in your body as long as you're staying on the gut healing diet right now?
I am, yes. As long as I stay on that, because I think that I have had a really major case of Candida, and I think I've had it for a long time. Um, as long as I stick to my diet, I don't even want to try anything new at this point. I'm just happy eating my bone broth and my soups. But as long as I do, it has changed my whole life.
I feel the same way. I feel like I'm just functioning, operating, able to show up in my life. I'm observing. I see things so much more clearly.
Yes, and less foggy. I feel less foggy in my brain. And I've lost almost 30 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, and it started coming off instantly. I wasn't even really trying at that point. At that point, I was just thinking, I just want to get healthy,
Yeah.
just feel better. And so it just started coming off.
Yeah, that's what happened to me too, is a lot of the excess. I used to carry a belly. I was like the skinny fat girl. I had skinny arms, skinny legs, but I had this belly that I would hide. And it's all melted away. And
Yeah.
do you still ever notice cycles of detox or die off at this stage? Because I did actually for a while.
I do. And I wasn't sure at first. I was thinking, I still feel these symptoms, but I think you're right. I think that we do still keep um, feeling the die-off effects later. But it's nothing compared to what I was going through. Nothing.
Wow. How many years did you say you probably were dealing with some of those
Well,
issues?
I honestly, I don't know. I've heard your story, and I think that I've had it my whole life. I was actually born with a yeast infection. Um,
Oh,
so I
you were
don't
born
know.
with one.
Right, I was born with one. And then I kind of had yeast infections my whole life, kind of growing up. But I really noticed after I had my son, he's 14, I had a yeast infection when I gave birth to him. And I wonder if that's some of his problem as well. But um, after that, I had taken rounds of antibiotics for certain things, like I said, and it was after that that I just felt like my body deteriorating every year, just worse and worse and worse.
Right. Were you born were you born via C-section or vaginally when you were born?
I was vaginal.
Okay. And did your mom have any challenging health issues or history of a lot of yeast infection or
No,
anything like that? Or did they give her antibiotics or anything like
I
that?
believe that she was on antibiotics. I believe
She was
so.
on antibiotics when you were
Yeah,
born.
yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know. I mean, it kind of makes sense now that I look back.
That probably contributed to you being born with a yeast infection because
Right,
it just totally thrashed your immune system
right.
right from the beginning.
And that's just it. I don't think my immune system's ever been great. I always get everything, no matter what it is. I always get it. And, I have three children and, they've been sick this fall and I haven't got anything. So
Right? Isn't it amazing?
it is,
Like, I
because I'm
feel like,
usually the sick one.
right? It's like now that I've taken care of the Candida and I'm watching my diet, I don't get sick. I live with a few professional creatives in this beautiful home. They're all friends of mine. And my boyfriend and my housemates all got the flu. And they got knocked out for days. And the biggest extent that I had of it was I felt a little under the weather one day. And
Hmm.
then I went to bed like normal. And then I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm fine.
Yay.
And
I
I
know it's
actually,
amazing for people who've had, I think, their immune system compromised for so long. It really is that amazing to me. It's amazing.
right. Yeah, and even, do your have people in your life notice a drastic change in you? I'd love to hear
They
about
have,
that.
they do. Well, especially my dad, because he suffers with a lot of the same problems that I do. And I actually, over Thanksgiving, got him to watch all the videos and he actually ordered. But he looked at me and he said, "You look different." He said, "What? You look different." And I said, "I feel different." And even my friends, they're like, "You look like life's treating you good. You look different." And so yes, people notice for sure.
Yeah, all of my closest friends who have known me for the longest time are just shocked that I don't have allergies anymore. And this is 3 years now that I have not exhibited any real symptoms of hay fever allergies, when for most of my life it was like a chronic thing.
Right,
Like constantly, anytime I talked to somebody, I was stuffed up, my
right.
eyes were like this and like,
Yeah.
no,
And
it's just
it's
not
nice
even.
to not be the sickly one anymore, because I've had quite a few surgeries in my life, and maybe some of that contributed to me being on antibiotics too. I had my gallbladder out was 21, and my appendix, tonsils. So I've had a lot of surgery. So I've always been kind of the one who's always been kind of sick or gets everything. So it is
Yeah,
really, really kind of fun to not be that person anymore.
that's so amazing. So now tell us again a little bit about what you're doing now for gut healing. You're doing like the gaps and the broths, and you're listening to your body,
I
right?
I am. I do the gaps, and I make my own bone broth. I make ghee. I have coconut oil. Um, I stopped drinking coffee, which has helped me so much. And I never thought that I'd be able to do that, but I do. I listen to my body because I want to feel good, so I have to listen to it. Um, I, I just don't, if I try something, and I'll instantly know whether I can do it or not. There's certain things that I've been able to sneak in, and I'm okay with, but for the most part, I just want to heal my gut right now and just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that part of it is the hardest piece, is the healing afterwards. I do see a lot of different people at different stages of the Candida overgrowth, different stages of how much healing they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes what I see is that people will do the cleanse, they start to feel better, and then they start to reach back for those processed foods or the sweets and the pastries and the ice creams, and then it does start to cause inflammation in their body again. And
Yeah.
ultimately, it's like that those quantities of those foods and those sugars, when you have a leaky gut, you're way more vulnerable now to, number one, you're way more vulnerable to fungal candida because there's still holes in your gut.
Right.
And so we can't ever completely get rid of candida 100%. We have to have the yeast in our body. It's there to protect us actually
Right.
from the toxins and the sugars. It's just we need it to remain only in the gut. And so yeah, you know, I always try to encourage people, like, take time to do the healing part of it afterwards, or else the candida will come back faster for us than
Right.
for people who haven't had such a degree of damage on their gut. So
True, and that's what kind of keeps me away from eating like that, because I don't want to go back. You know, I spent so long there, and just the last few months that I felt good, it's almost like I'm addicted to feeling good. I think you said that, and I don't want to go back. I don't. So it's
yeah,
for me to pass up all the junk and all that.
right. Well, I'm so proud of you for where you are now, and just I just so much of your story I really resonate with, because for so many years I was living with so much pain and discomfort, but then I wanted to be that person that didn't complain, even though I couldn't help but constantly be complaining about how I felt. And
Right.
it was like there didn't seem to be any solutions in sight. I was just living with these things, thinking that this is just the way that I have to be. And now I'm like, I love feeling amazing. I feel younger. I feel 17 again. I kind of feel like I look 17 again.
I
Sometimes.
know.
You know, I turned 37 in 2 days. My birthday is on Thursday. And so, you know, it's like, I feel like we can reverse age with this. My skin quality has changed.
My skin too, definitely.
Yeah, it's like my skin has become more glowing and radiant. A lot of things that were happening on my skin that I thought was just part of being in my 30s disappeared. Like I thought my skin was just aging, and I was noticing this quality and this texture, and I was just like, oh, I'm
It's true.
aging. And then
And
now
even
it's all
the wrinkles.
gone.
Yeah, it's true. Even the wrinkles, you know, I was getting wrinkles right here, and it's like I'm looking and they're gone. And I think that it's just amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I
And
think
I try to encourage everybody on the Facebook support page, because that really helped me. That helped me kind of get through. So it is such an encouraging place, you know, if you're going through the process. But that to keep going, that it's not, even if you're on the GAPS diet for however long, so what? You know, you're
yeah,
there, but you're gonna get better. So don't
yeah,
give up, you know, and just stay there just for a while. And then you can, you know, introduce a few things back, or not. I don't want to, but you know, at this
right.
point, but you know, that to keep staying strong for just a little while longer.
Yeah, and it's really really great to hear you talk about how the die off in the very first few days, it was almost like you felt everything you ever felt that was attributed to candida kind of happening all at once.
Yeah.
And that's really what is happening, is that the cleanser is destroying the candida very very rapidly in the
Mhm.
body, and now the body is trying to push it out, and the body pushing those things out causes all of those symptoms,
Right.
all of the illness, all of the
Right.
challenging symptoms, flu symptoms. And
Right.
we recently had somebody on the group who, you know, she thought she was getting sick on the Candida cleanser, and the doctor gave her antibiotics. And it
Oh
was like, oh no, it was like, that is the
no.
die off. It's like, don't do the antibiotics, do
Yeah.
natural
Don't,
antibiotic,
yeah.
just cut the sugars, cut the starches, cut the simple carbohydrates.
Right.
If you really need some sugars, eat some berries,
Yeah.
eat a sweet potato, get some good carbs, eat some
Yeah.
squash or
And
something like that.
coconut oil does it for me. If I am feeling like I need something sweet, and I know that some people can't tolerate it, I can tolerate it. But it does it for me. I just have a little coconut oil and I feel satisfied.
Yeah, and actually the coconut oil and the ghee also really help soothe the gut lining and help the gut lining to repair itself too.
Right.
So that's
Yeah,
a really good
there's
tip.
no question in my mind that it has worked and changed my life. Even when I was detoxing, I could, like certain things were even just the internal stuff, but even external stuff, I could feel it like oozing out of my skin, and
Yeah,
I could feel it actually working.
yeah, yeah, and even like what I describe to people is even as my belly kept shrinking and shrinking and shrinking,
Hmm.
certain times when I'm not on the Candida Cleanser treatment, which I've done once a year since that first year, it's almost like as my body is finally releasing some of the things that it's been holding on to, I'll notice my tongue gets a little white. I might notice a few things. I'll notice in the bath I'll have more stuff kind of coming out of my skin, so I'm like scrubbing
Right,
my skin to kind of help it to come out.
right,
But our body has a divine intelligence really, and it will protect us because you know, when there's all this toxic overload, we have to protect ourselves. Our immune system has to protect
right,
itself from releasing too quickly. So it is a process that
right.
can't be rushed, but we
It,
can help it with the diet. The diet really helps a lot because it just doesn't give the candida a chance to fight
right,
back. It doesn't give
exactly.
it a chance to maintain any numbers, and that's kind of its only chance is to maintain numbers and to
Right.
bloom again as much as it can to steal
Right.
our food and nutrients from
It's
us.
true. And I always think, it took me this long to get to that point, so it's gonna take a little bit of time to get my body back to
Yeah,
being good again. It's gonna take a little bit of time.
right. Definitely. And, for me, 3 years later now, I can eat. When I first did my elimination diet in the very beginning, I learned that I couldn't eat tomatoes, I couldn't eat chickpeas, I couldn't eat eggplant, I couldn't eat beans.
Right.
I was really thrashed. My gut was really thrashed.
Yeah.
And now, today, it has been 3 years. Yeah, that might seem like a long time, but it's like I'm the healthiest. My skin is clear. I don't have acne, which I used to have all the time in some degree. I used to have some kind of acne going on. I used to have some kind of pain going on. But
Yeah.
now I can eat those things. I can eat salads again. I can eat tomato and eggplant. Sometimes I can eat, cheese and treat myself to a little cheese. And and I can eat some fruit again, which I still don't crave fruit the same way. I don't even like apples anymore. They taste too sweet for me. I
Yeah.
just love berries, but it's pretty phenomenal. And then also, I've found that now I'm really sensitive to the chemical hook of sugar. And even with Thanksgiving, I definitely stayed really solid with my boundaries. I didn't eat
Hmm.
anything for pasta offerings or breads or anything like that. But I treated myself to more fruit than normal. I didn't have any reactions to it, but I felt for a week afterwards wanting to overeat and
Yeah.
eat way more food than I actually need to, that I know now that I don't need all that food. So this is, I think, a really important thing for people to realize because I see a lot of people after they are doing the cleanse or they're finishing the cleanse and they're like, can I eat this yet? I really want to eat this and I really want to eat this. And it's like, is it really you that wants to eat it or is it like the chemical hook, right? And it's like, if we really want to heal,
It's true. And
how do we really go?
I think that that's why it was so good that I stopped with the sugar and the carbs the 3 weeks before I got my pills, because I think it really helped me kind of get started, because that was a detox in itself. Just trying to quit
Mm,
sugar is
yeah.
horrific, especially the amount that I was consuming.
Wow, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
And now you're completely off of the sugars. You're doing
Yeah.
total gut healing.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on here and sharing your story. You're such an inspiration, and I hope that this is an inspiration for people who are watching, who are dealing with these chronic health issues,
Absolutely.
that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It is
Even no matter what doctors say, that's my biggest thing. I remember, I just want to say this real fast. It was this summer before I had ordered my Candida Cleanser, and I was sitting in this GI doctor's office, and she was not really paying much attention to me. She was just typing, and I was telling her my symptoms, my long list of symptoms, and she stopped and she looked at me and she said, "Well, if you would just lose weight, all these symptoms would go away." And I just wanted to cry. I was angry. I thought, oh, you don't understand. So that was kind of what finally got me to say, you know what? No, I'm going to figure this out on my own. And so I went from total despair to I feel like I'm alive again. So I just want to encourage people that it really works.
That's so amazing. And your son is the one who found a YouTube video?
Yeah, he found something. I don't know. He found something. And I was like, huh, that kind of makes sense.
Wow. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Sandy. I so appreciate you coming on here with me, sharing your story. May our stories continue to, ripple out there and help other people who are looking for an answer. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I agree with you with the doctors. I have a friend right now who is going through so many similar things that I've been going through, and she's been to the emergency room twice in the last 60 days. And I keep telling her, it's time to do this thing. So she's going to start on the 1st.
So is my dad. So is my dad.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we spent all Thanksgiving talking about this. And so
Wow.
really excited for him because it's just I just want to scream out and tell everybody, wait, don't take those pills and just try this. It'll
Right.
work.
Oh, amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for sharing your story so
Thank you
openly.
for all
And
your help.
of course, and I'm sure I will see you in the support group. And thank you everybody for watching this video. And there are links in the video below if you are interested in learning about Candida Cleanser and how it can help you. So awesome. Thank you, Sandy. I will see you soon.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.